Okay, welcome back. I apologize. I tried to do this live and it did not go well. So hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Everybody can at least see this video. It's pre-recorded, but feel free to leave any questions in the comments. I'll make sure to get back to you. And I apologize for that. But let's start off. So I'm gonna have to restart it. Welcome back. My name is Nair Solis Moyet, and I am a financial coach, or really the only financial coach with Solid Financial Coaching. I am a former loan officer that I used to get people approved for home loans, and I no longer do that, but obviously I still have all of the knowledge on how to do that. Now I'm certified trained on financial coaching. One of the biggest reasons why I decided to do that was because I was tired of denying people for homes, quite honestly. And it was for reasons that I thought were very simple. Like if somebody just held the person's hand or, the family's hand through fixing something in their credit or fixing something in their finances. I just wanted to see more people achieve their dreams of becoming homeowners. So that's why I started this business and I started doing this instead. And so far, it's been amazing. I am also a real estate investor. I've been investing in real estate for well over 8 years. And I'm also a five-time home buyer, which means that I have personally gone through the process of buying a home 5 different times. I don't recommend it. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of moving, but, life has just kind of done that to me. But I probably have a lot more personal knowledge of the home buying process than a lot of people, other than just having gone through the process with multiple clients before. So, I'm here. I'm here to help. It's my passion to see people become homeowners, and it's something that I honestly just really enjoy. I enjoy getting people out of debt. I enjoy people seeing their dreams become realities, and it's awesome. Okay, but today's video, I wanted to talk to you about credit and how to basically fix your own credit. I'm really passionate about this as well because as a former loan officer, I can't tell you how many times I saw clients lose out on properties because at some point in their transaction, something showed up on their credit reports that basically derailed the entire transaction. And my heart would just break for them because there was nothing that I could do. Like once it was on the report, it was on the report, and there was nothing further that I could do. They spent hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars getting into these properties, trying to get them under contract. They spent so much time and energy and saved up money. And it was, one of those things where they hired a credit repair company and they went in and disputed a bunch of stuff and stuff came on. But on average, I can tell you that for every like 5 things that somebody would get pulled off of their credit, I would say at least like one or two of them would come back at some point in the future. Uh, my own husband actually went through credit repair, and we saw this be true with his as well. And there was something come on his, like, thank God it didn't cost us a house. Like we were never in the middle of trying to buy a house when this happened. Like this was always like in between homes. But I saw, things go back on his credit a year, maybe a year and a half after he disputed it. Like it's insane. So all that to say that I'm not telling you don't do credit repair. Just be really, really, really careful that if you're gonna do it, be ready for in case something comes back on your credit report. Okay. And keep in mind that it could very well derail the entire transaction and you could lose out on the property that you're trying to buy, okay, which can be heartbreaking. Trust me, I know. When you lose a house that you have under contract, it's not fun ever. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about how to fix your own credit, like how to actually um, take care or repair your credit without disputing anything. So I'm not telling you, I'm not going to teach you how to write the letters and dispute things or anything like that. I'm actually going to do the total opposite. I'm going to teach you exactly what you need to do to optimize your credits. If you've never heard of the word credit optimization, that's just something that means that you understand how the credit is calculated and you basically like align things in your credit to maximize on the on credit itself and get the highest credit score. Okay. So without further ado, let's just dive in. Okay. So, one of the main things that you need to really understand is the calculation of how things get scored, how your credit score itself comes up. Like, is it calculated? And this isn't like a huge mystery. This is something that anybody can just kind of look it up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive into the more specifics on what exactly these things mean. Okay. So first of all, the biggest chunk of your credit score is your payment history, and it accounts for 35% of your credit score. So your payment history is definitely one of the biggest things that you have to keep intact. Okay. And what exactly is your payment history? Is anything that gets reported onto your credit report and you have to make a actual payment on. Okay. So these are not closed accounts. These are not uh like utilities that don't even make it onto your credit report at all. These are things that are actually getting reported to your credit report. All right. So credit has nothing to do with anything that isn't reported, only things that actually get reported. Companies pay money to report. And usually these companies are things like credit cards, loans, any kind of like personal loans, student loans obviously get reported, car loans, different things like that. But what you want to understand also is that different kinds of accounts actually weigh a little bit heavier. So let's say that you have to miss a payment and you end up missing a small, like a store credit card payment that is reporting to your credit card, or excuse me, to your credit report. um, that is not going to weigh as heavily as, let's say, a missed car loan payment. A missed car loan payment is going to be way heavier and it's going to drop your score way further than like a small credit store payment. Okay. Also, keep in mind that if you really have to miss a payment for something, maybe it should be something that doesn't get reported to your credit report, okay? Which I know sounds crazy, but if you gotta miss like a utility payment, just call up the utility company and make payment arrangements, because that stuff doesn't get reported onto your credit reports, okay? And most of them, most utility companies will either put you on a payment plan or something like that, where you can kind of work things out. And I know that kind of sounds crazy, because it's utilities, but at the same time you're going to end up spending way more money in the long run with a credit score that is really low. And that can end up costing you so much more money. So just keep in mind that your payment history can stay on your credit report for up to 7 years. So if you miss something on your credit report, or if you missed a payment of any kind, whether it's a small credit card or like a car note or something like that, definitely a home loan, then trust me, it's going to stay on there for at least 7 years. So you want to always make sure that you're making all of your payments on time. I always suggest that everybody just sets up at least a minimum payment for automatic. So just set it up automatic. Literally just do the minimum payment. If you're gonna hit the card harder or the loan harder and you want to apply more, then just do like a one-off payment. But at least if you have that automatic payment there, it's guaranteed to make that payment on time and you don't have to worry about it. Okay. Amounts owed is the next thing. So that actually accounts for 30% of your actual credit score. And what is your amounts owed? So basically, this has a lot more to do with a line of credit. Okay, so like a credit card, they're saying you're approved for up to $1,000, let's say. Well, you've got there, you are allowed to borrow up to $1,000 and you repay all of that amounts back. This does not have to do with like a loan that is a fixed amount. You got approved for, let's say, $15,000 for a car, and that's it. You just pay it back in little increments along the way. Amounts owed, that 30% has to do with the lines of credit that you can borrow up to a certain amount, but you don't have to. Okay. It's not like a car loan where you get approved for a big amount and you don't have to take that whole amount. Like it's totally different. This has to do usually with credit cards and small, like personal loans. Let's say that you got approved for $1,000. What you want to do is calculate 15, maybe 20% of what that is. Okay. Now, excuse me, you're not going to use that entire $1,000. What you're going to use is maybe just 200 of that dollars. You're going to program your mind to never go over $200 and pretend like you never got approved for the whole thousand. You only got approved for the 200. Excuse me. So what you want to always keep in mind too is that you can really improve your scores by just paying these lines of credit down. Okay, so what you also want to know is that this is actually one of the easiest things that you can do to affect your credit score and raise it up as high as possible. Okay. Let's say you have credit cards that are completely maxed out. All right. Well, instead of focusing on, let's say, like a loan, like a student loan, or um, some other debt that maybe isn't even on your credit report, will focus on paying down those revolving lines of credit, the credit cards themselves, the ones that are like they give you, the ones that I've been talking about, that they give you a certain amount and that you have to pay it back. This is probably one of the easiest things that you could tackle to get your credit score as low as possible. Now, a lot of people though, what they'll do is that they'll like pay off a credit card, leave the balance at zero, and then not touch it again. That is a big no-no. What you want to do is pay it down as far as possible. Maybe do pay it down to zero, but use it at least once every single month. I know this sounds so basic that everybody should probably already know this, but you have to use all of your revolving lines of credit at least one time a month. So I don't know if it's maybe that you're like buying gas on it, go buy a stick of gum on it. Whatever it is that you need to buy it at least once. Make it so that it's something that's already in your budget. So you are gonna have to pay for something anyway, so it's not like extra money coming out of your monthly budget. But use it, absolutely use it at least one time a month. You don't have to go crazy and use it every single day. Just use it one time a month. And then if you're going to keep paying it down to zero, make sure that it's after that that it's getting recorded. So don't like pay everything off every single week, and it's like zero, zero, zero. And what's being recorded on your statement is that you never used it. Make sure that you use it, and when your billing statement is due, when your actual payment is due, that is when you pay it off. Okay, you pay it off to zero, and then you do that again the next month. Okay, you use it at least once a month, and then make sure that it gets recorded on your billing cycle due date. Okay, it's due. That's the day that you pay it down. Let me explain to you how just doing that alone, especially if you're doing it to zero on payday, on whatever that due date is, especially to zero or as close to zero as possible, your credit score is going to just naturally go higher by, I'm telling you, by a lot. I tested this theory out on my own credit. I think I raised my score maybe like 50 points. I really should have like written down the exact amount, but it was like 50 points within like 3 or 4 months. And the only thing that changed was me using it, paying it down to zero, using it, paying it down to zero, using it, paying down to zero. That was it. Like I didn't do anything else. Just the act of using it and paying it down to zero every single month raised my credit score. I know. It should be harder, shouldn't it? It should be way more complicated, but it's actually not. All right. So the other thing that it accounts for your credit score is the length of your credit history. Okay. This has to do with how long you keep a credit card open, especially a credit card. Really, any line of credit, but specifically a credit card. If you have a credit card that you've had for a really long time, um, don't close it. These things are these are now like what I call pillars of your credit. If you have a credit card and it doesn't matter how like not good the credit card is, like it doesn't give you any points or anything like that. You've had it for a really, really long time. That length of time is over the years actually ends up giving you a higher credit score. The same goes true with, let's say that you went crazy one year and you applied for like five different cards at the same time. And now you went from averaging 7 years for the amount of time that these things are open to now averaging only like 2 years because you've got all these new accounts. Well, you can pay those new ones off and close them. And I know that people freak out when they hear the word close a credit card, but if you're closing the brand new ones that basically are making the average time of all of your credit history younger or smaller, then what's going to happen is if you close those off, your score is going to dip for about a month and then it'll shoot right back up. Because closing a card does give you like a hit on your credit. But what happens is that it recalculates your age, your overall age. So what I usually tell my clients to do is to lay out like a little spreadsheet, a little table of all of their open credit cards, and you're going to put on there what is the amount, or what's the name of the account, how much you were approved for, how much you currently owe on it, and when you opened it. And then do that for all of your accounts. Let's say you've got like 5 or 6 accounts, and then you take a look at the ones that were opened the most recently and tackle those guys and close them out. Just completely close them. Do that for at least however how whatever the average that you really want. Okay. So like let's say you've got a credit card that was been open for 10 years and a second one that's been open for 9 years, and then like three of them that were open just in the last year. Okay, well, those last three are basically making the average of your credit history a lot younger. It's probably making it look like it's only like 3 or 4 years old, when in fact it should be closer to like 9 years. So what you want to do is pay those off and actually close them, the last three that you did. And by keeping the oldest ones, that is going to make your overall age older, and it's going to raise your credit score, which is kind of insane. I know. Another really simple thing to do, but I know they tell you don't ever close a credit account, but if it is making your age average out to be younger than the other ones and the older ones, then you need to close them out. This also unfortunately goes through true for loans, like regular fixed loans. If you pay off a car that you've had for like 7 years, get prepared that your score is probably going to go down. I know, kind of crazy, but your score will go, it'll take a hit just because you paid it off. So keep that in mind that if you're trying to get a house, all right, maybe you don't pay the whole, like you're trying to like pay off the car, pay off the car, pay off the car. Well, what's more important for you for your total goals? Is it a higher credit score or a lower debt to income ratio? Because if you need the debt off of the books, like if you need the debt because you need to get approved for a higher credit loan, or home loan, I should say, then by all means go ahead and take that risk and pay the car off. But if what your goal is to raise your credit score itself, and not necessarily to get the house right away, or the debt portion of that doesn't matter to you, then what you want to do is keep in mind that you're gonna end up taking a hit when you pay it off. Excuse me. Okay, so the other one is new credit. So anytime that you just open up any credit, it doesn't matter how great that credit card is, new car, new home, anytime, 10% of your credit score is going to be calculated and it will take a dip, unfortunately. So if you go around applying for cards left and right, just whenever you find one that has a new points that you really like, you travel and you want all these points, um please know that your credit is taking a hit every single time that you open that account. So don't open any new accounts at all. The other thing that accounts for 10% of your credit score itself is your credit mix. And this has to do with the kind of accounts that you have. This isn't just so this isn't just credit card, car loan, home loan. This also has to do with your actual credit cards themselves. So the kind of credit cards that you get way differently on in the algorithms of the credit reporting system itself. Retail cards, every time you go to Target and they're like, "Would you like to save 5% off of your account?" Just say no, because retail accounts are literally the worst, the ugliest, the just the worst of the worst kind of credit cards that you can possibly have. Okay. Your Walmart cards, your Kohl's card, like wherever it is that you shop at, that you have a card for Best Buy, don't do it. Don't, don't do it. Just don't open any kind of retail accounts at all. The fact that you have them already makes it seem that you're an impulsive shopper, and the credit reporting system basically marks you for that. So what you want to have is like actual bank cards, like your the ones that are basically done by the institutions, the banking institutions, instead of the retail credit scorecards. But then you also want to make sure that you have things like a personal loan, a car loan. Honestly, that isn't as big of a deal though as the kind of credit cards that you have. Okay. You want to make sure that you don't have retail cards, that you're showing up as basically a responsible borrower. And I would say that you really don't need more than two different kinds of credit. Okay. So, like a car loan or a home loan and a credit card. You don't need more than that, quite honestly. You don't need more than one credit card. Guess who only has one credit card? Just one. I've had it for a really long time and it's not going anywhere. Um, yeah, you definitely don't need that much. You can do all of this with just one credit card. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you get a good credit report for yourself. Like your step one, like how do you really start all of this? Is you want to get yourself a good credit report. Don't go to Credit Karma. That's not going to give you a full thing. I would say go to the actual credit reporting sites themselves. So your Experian, TransUnion, log in. You usually get a free membership just for them, and you'll be able to see exactly what's on your credit. You may not be able to see your score, but that's okay. There's other ways of checking your score. But what you want to do is check the actual report itself to see what exactly is on there. Okay. And then, like I said, make that little chart for yourself so you can kind of see, okay, what's the credit card type? Um, what is the limit? What is the balance on it? When did you open it? Write all of that down and you can kind of see, okay, well, this one's really high. I need to pay this one down. Or this one is really new. I need to just close this one. All right. And then you just want to make sure that you're using the actual credit card itself at least once a month. Okay. All right. So let's talk about things that you want to stop doing. Stop doing. Stop getting new credit cards. Don't apply for anything that has to do with credit at all. If you want to buy
whatever. I recently I there was like a new set of pots that I really wanted. And they were like, oh, it's okay, 0% financing for a year and this, that, and the other. And I was like, oh, really? All right, well, let me try it out. It's financed through you guys, right? Not like through a financing company. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We do the financing. We do the financing. Okay. We need your ID. No. We need your social. No, absolutely not. If they're asking you for an ID or if they're asking you for a social, anyone, especially an ID, that is all going to get recorded on your credit report. Run. Don't do it. Don't do it. Never open a retail account or a store specific credit card. Stop borrowing more than 20% of that max limit. Stop taking out any late payment loans or consolidation loans. Consolidation loans really, first of all, it's a new credit type. All right. And then what ends up happening is you end up closing the other accounts that you consolidate, which you already kind of know you want to keep the older ones. So you can really be messing up your age for that. So consolidating your credit can sometimes end up really making your credit scores take a hit instead of being better. So be careful with that. Stop thinking that points you accumulate will save you tons of money on things like travel. It's often not worth it. It's almost never worth it, ever. Stop thinking that the more accounts you have, the better your credit is, because usually the more accounts that you have, the more complicated. Remember that I said you have to use every one of them every single month, which means that you got to make sure that you've got money to pay it off every single month. And if you don't keep opening the credit accounts. Okay. Um, so different ways to keep a new credit, your new high score is basically like I mentioned earlier. You want to set up your auto pays, pay off the balance so it's at zero. Use your credit card at least once a month, and then build up your own reserve of funds to use for daily purchases instead of using a credit card. So if you're using your credit card to like live life basically and then pay it all off, stop doing that. Do that with like a secondary checking account, or do it within your checking account if you can. Just stop using your credit cards for every single little thing. You're probably spending a ton on interest rates as well. All right, so that is the biggest stuff that I have for you. Let's talk about collections here for just 1 second before I finish off. So, just because something is in collections doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. Okay, people think, "Oh, I need to dispute stuff that's on collections." Look, take responsibility for your actions. You mismanaged your finances, and we all do it at some point in our lives. And you had a late payment, or you stopped paying something. Maybe they charged you wrong and you feel it is unfair. Just pay it anyway. I know, kind of crazy for me to say that. Even if you feel it wasn't your responsibility, pay it anyway, because you're going to end up ruining your credit in the process. Okay, if you want to fight something along the way or after the fact or while you're paying it on time, then by all means fight it, but still pay it on time. If something is already in a collection status, my suggestion is that you save up money, and this is something that I have personally done with my own credit. Save up money. You don't have to save up the entire balance, but save up money so that you can negotiate with the collections agency and pay off that debt to zero. And you usually don't have to pay all of it. I can't tell you. There was one. There was one that I ended up paying like 25% of what I actually owed. I still can't believe to this day that I negotiated that hard and they said yes and they took it. And I paid it off. But it was insane. But you can absolutely save up the money and pay off these debts, but don't stop paying them along the way, because what's going to happen is that it's going to come back and bite you in the butt. All of those late payments rack up. and they're so hard to get rid of. I mean, they're just gonna stay on your account forever and ever. But once you've paid those things off and you're using your credit cards every month and you're paying them down to zero every single month, give yourself like maybe like 3 to 6 months, and you're gonna see how your credit scores are just gonna jump higher and higher. I literally did all of this, and within about a year, a little bit over a year, my credit score went up almost 200 points. I'm right at the like I can't get it past that 200 point. Like I'm right there. But I just couldn't even believe how possible it was to do this. So I hope this blesses you today. If you have any questions on this, feel free to message me. I know that a lot of this seems really basic, but honestly, it is that basic. And if I didn't see it work in my own, I wouldn't be suggesting these things. So um, that's it. If you have any questions, message me and hopefully I will get back to you as soon as possible. But thank you for joining me today, and we will talk again soon.